Sound like a 1970s. 70s were bloody strange. Now, as a 10-year-old, I was living up, Scotland. Uh, Daniel Fold up, opposite, Black Dog there. And I used to go to school all the way from, Black Dog over in Scotland, all the way down to bloody, Kingsway. And that's how, because, when we came here, my neighbor, as I told you before, that you took me to school, and she didn't know what she was doing, whatever. Anyway, I ended up in the school, and I stuck by that school for until I moved out to another school. So living up Scotland was a strange experience as well because it's right on the fringes of bloody Rochdale. So it's 3 mile long. It doesn't matter which direction you came from, you know, 3 mile cross, and that's the size of actually Rochdale is. But then when we settled down into this residential area, the council estate, you become, what can I say? You begin to become more sensitive, which not within your norms before. Like, what would I want to know about race relations and race and Armageddons and Nostradamus and Shakespeare's and all that, blah, 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 fucking blah, blah. When I'm only been in this country for about a year or two, three, and you're still struggling with the language and trying to fit yourself into a society, and it's sometimes you manage and it's sometimes you don't. And I was lucky enough to, kind of had an easy run. I was actually adopted by the local school and the lads in the class and stuff like that. So I've had an easy run in that sense. But having said that, you can see the the anxieties on the faces of a lot of Asian kids, which I began to realize. Obviously, you become the part and parcel of it. I mean, whether you can avoid it or not. I mean, me, I was right in the bloody middle of everything, especially like these, because I didn't actually see, the world the way people were looking at it even then. And I haven't got a clue about my own people, the Pakistanis here. I haven't got a clue about them either, because although we look the same, there's about quite a variety of people living here amongst the Pakistani, because we're so geographically away from each other over in Pakistan. Now, the two major communities are from central Punjab and northeast, Pakistan, or Kashmir. Anyway, that's another issue on as well. I'll have a little go at that one as well one day. Now, and I come from neither of these places. I come from a totally different place, and it's like the distance between us is like about 200 miles, actually either way. And you can imagine you're living in a rural society with no communication and no electricity and everything, and that's how I was actually growing up there. And you went to school, and sometimes the schools were in the bloody graveyards, and I mean you don't. I mean that's the norm, and you just accept it as it is. And poverty was part and parcel of it. I mean I realized afterward. I didn't realize at the time I was poor, or we were poor. Anyway, so we got to. I mean, it got to actually Rochdale again, and the 70s were like T Rex, Mark Bolan and the crew, David Bowie, Brian Ferry, oh, bloody all sorts of stuff. Had Pink Floyd and Nevermind the Bollocks and all of these, yeah, and the Sex Pistols, and I've seen them once. Anyhow, but what was happening here? It had no really bearing to me. I was just following the trend like everybody else did. Just an ordinary bloody kid in the street who was aware of things that, something's nice looking or not looking, and people are dressing up different ways and clothes being worn and torn and stitched together, with this, with the safety pins and stuff like that. But you just go through the life, and the whole political scenario at the time was described in a kind of a very depressive ways. So it actually suited the environment at the time. And the one was the actual, although I was listening up to David Bowie and Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and stuff like that. But my first record I really listened to was a guy called Mungo Jerry in the summertime. And that was my earliest comprehension of a music in the